later in the program. I'd like to take a moment now to thank the OneJax Board of Directors, our advisory council, and our staff. They are a dedicated and passionate group committed to promoting respect and understanding amongst people of different faiths, cultures, races, and identities. They believe we can become different together, where we can celebrate our differences and rejoice in our commonalities. Their names are listed in your program, and I believe they all deserve your recognition. Whenever I have the opportunity, I like to remind people, as Dr. Challey did, that although OneJax is an institute of the University of North Florida, and we enjoy many benefits as a result of that relationship, we're responsible for raising 100% of our own funds. These dollars are used to develop and deliver high-quality services and programming to many segments of our community. And so I would like to acknowledge and thank the sponsors of tonight's event that helped make that work possible. First, we are most grateful to the Dolores Barr Weaver Legacy Forever Fund, which will continue to support this event in perpetuity. I'm also very pleased to acknowledge our platinum sponsors tonight, Baptist Health, FIS, and Florida Blue, 3 organizations that have been longtime supporters of OneJax, as well as the law firm of Wilkie, Farr & Gallagher, LLP. Thank you all for your belief in and support of OneJax. We are also very grateful for our gold sponsors this evening: Cravath, Swain & Moore, LLP, Drummond Press, Hugh and Susan Green, Robert and Margaret Hill, the Jacksonville Civic Council, Mayo Clinic Jacksonville, the Miller families in honor of David Miller, PRI Productions, the Traeger family, UF Health Jacksonville, the UNF Foundation, ViStar Credit Union, Michael Ward and Jennifer Glock, and Wells Fargo. Thank you all for your very generous support. And we're also very fortunate tonight to have many silver sponsors, and they include Beaver Street Fisheries, Best Bet Jacksonville, Brooks Rehabilitation, Century Ambulance Service, Community Hospice and Palliative Care, First Horizon Foundation, Florida State College at Jacksonville Foundation, the Gate Foundation, Haskell, the Islamic Center of Northeast Florida, the Jaguars Foundation, the Jesse Ball DuPont Fund, Miller Electric Company, Pamela Paul, Public Supermarkets Charities, David and Linda Stein, John and Julia Taylor, the Community Foundation of Northeast Florida, the Players Championship, River Garden Senior Services and Marty and Susan Getz, US Able Florida Combined Life, the Winston Family Foundation, and Ellen and James Wiss. We've listed all of these sponsors in the program tonight, so if you see any of them, please feel free to thank them for their steadfast support of our organization, whether at this level or any of our levels of sponsorship. Many, many thanks. You know, no matter what is happening, whether locally or worldwide, we must continue to move forward. While we must learn from the past, the drive to press onward, to keep moving ahead, must control our ongoing work. So what kind of a community and world do we want to live in? How can we join together in the face of differences to identify and address some of the problems that we as a community face? How can we facilitate civility and compassion so that we're prepared to face each of these challenges together? OneJax believes it's important and in fact incumbent upon all of us to find innovative solutions to these questions and to address them with action steps. These are among the commitments that OneJax makes to you tonight. There's much work to be done, and based on our new strategic plan, we will develop new and updated policies, protocols, and programs to address the needs of our community, whatever they may be, and however they may change. We hope that you will join us in our ongoing work to make Northeast Florida as inclusive, diverse, and as equitable as it can possibly be. Now, please give a warm welcome to the 3 clergy members who will deliver tonight's invocation. Pastor Alvin Baker of New Bethel Missionary Baptist Church of Lake City, Rabbi Meyer Glasser of the Temple, and UNF student Samira Yisa.
God took Abraham outside and said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them." Then he said to him, "So shall your offsprings be."
God, we gather tonight grateful for all that brings us together as children of God and citizens of this great community. We celebrate the accomplishments of our new honorees and the many gathered here who give of themselves to move Jacksonville forward.
May our gathering remind us that we do not undertake this journey alone, but together. Help us seek to move Jacksonville onward toward a more inclusive community where human differences are welcomed, sought out, and understood.
Empower us, we pray, as we commit ourselves to this important work.
In your name we pray.
Amen.
I'm so happy to introduce our first 2022 humanitarian, the recipient of the Gold Medallion for Lifetime Achievement, my friend Audrey Moran. I feel so privileged to know Audrey as a colleague and as a friend. She's so smart, she's a leader and a mentor, she's bold and fearless, an incredible advocate for those overlooked and often ignored in our community. She's held so many leadership roles in so many organizations in Jacksonville, each adding to her insight, understanding, and compassion of others and the obstacles they faced. She's even dipped her toe into the political arena, and many of us wish she'd do so again, but is now in pursuit of becoming a county judge, drawing on that wide-ranging experience she's acquired through the years. Despite personal challenges and setbacks, Audrey's indomitable presence and heart have made her one of the most impactful community trustees our city has ever known. And if you don't believe me, just take a watch.
The first thing that jumps into my mind when I think of Audrey Moran is courage. She is not afraid of going into anything that's difficult, and the more difficult, the more excited she is because she loves to give a good fight and fight for what's right.
You know, thinking back to 2015 and where I am today, 7 years later, is a much different place. My life is very different. I had my first grandchild who's with us tonight, and I've left Baptist Health and have been doing pro bono legal work, and now I'm running for county judge. So a lot of things have changed.
Audrey was at the state attorney's office now decades ago, but her legacy remains. Audrey, I believe, was the first woman director appointed by Ed Austin. She had a very senior position and leadership position in the office. And so years after she's gone, though, she left a mark that our prosecutors, and certainly our women prosecutors who are aspiring to a higher position in the office, remember.
I have done a lot of different things, and that's been such a huge blessing. My time leading the Saltzbacher Center for the Homeless was very impactful. One of the lessons I learned there is, at the end of the day, all we're really supposed to do is love each other. It's really pretty simple. And that was a huge lesson that I learned every day there. Working as a prosecutor, as a young lawyer, that maybe was the most fun because you were really standing up for victims and fighting for what was right. And I love competition, so I loved the courtroom. So that was really special time, and getting to work with Ed Austin, my mentor, a hero to so many in our city. And my time at Baptist Health was really special too, because I got to work on things like mental health, which I'm so happy when we think about progress that we've made, that people talk about mental health now, that people are open about mental health struggles, that we are addressing them proactively. So I've really loved all the roles I've held, and they've all been very meaningful to me for a lot of different reasons.
I remember at Leadership Jacksonville at our closing retreat, she was one of the sage leaders that came to give us our advice before we were sent off into the world. And she said to always stand up, to always speak up, and to do what's right.
She's always been very grateful for the opportunities given her, and she identifies talent too. She doesn't just wait for people to come to her to say, hey, will you help me? She's always been very good at identifying talent and then pushing people maybe out of their comfort zone or maybe beyond what they themselves believe they're capable of.
I have had wonderful women mentor me and befriend me, help me over the years. The first one that comes to mind is Chris Milton, who unfortunately died of pancreatic cancer several years ago. But she was my first boss as a lawyer at Mahoney, Hadlow, and Adams. And there was when there wasn't that many women as lawyers, especially as partners in a prestigious law firm. She was a straight shooter. She would tell you when you were out of line. She would tell you when you weren't getting it right. I can remember she's the one who told me, stop apologizing. Don't apologize. Women do that way too much. Stand up for what you believe. Hold your ground. Those were really important lessons.
Setbacks don't set her back. I mean, how long did it take to pass the Human Rights Ordinance? She didn't care who she was upsetting, who was upset with her, who was protesting. It was the right thing to do for the community, and that is what she was going to do, and she did. And yes, it was a collective effort of many people, but this woman gave a lot to make that happen, and we should all be grateful for that.
I have a lot of dreams for our city. There's a lot of issues that we need to tackle and things we need to make progress on. But I'd say first and foremost, I think we need to embrace our diversity in a way like we never have before. That is our strength. For a long time, it's been our Achilles heel in not embracing it the way we should. And once we get to that point, once where we truly embrace the diversity that is Jacksonville, that's when we're really going to see progress. I believe that. We're making headway, but more needs to be done. And that, of course, is what OneJax is all about. And that's why so many people believe in the mission of OneJax and the work that it's doing and why it's so important. This journey with breast cancer is certainly not something I planned or wanted, but in many ways, truly, it's been an amazing gift because I have got to see firsthand every single day how surrounded by love I am. Whether it's my incredible husband, my children, my grandchild, my fabulous group of friends, I am not alone on this journey. And I get to feel that love, those prayers, that strength every single day. I feel pretty lucky. And I'm reminded by this journey that I'm not in charge. I'm not in charge. As much as I might want to be, I'm not in charge. You know, there's no way I could thank everyone who has been so good to me over my nearly 40-year career here in Jacksonville. But one person I could never thank enough is my husband. He's been my rock. He's been amazing. And he always teases that most people, when they stand up and give speeches, and I give a lot of speeches, spend the first 5 minutes thanking people. That's not been my practice. And so I remember saying to him one time, do you feel bad that I don't say how much I appreciate you and thank you? And he said, no, not really. I know you do. But see, this seems like a good opportunity to say it out loud. Thank you, John, for being through everything we've been through together. I couldn't have done it without you.
Audrey, you're remarkable and inspiring. I told you you would cry. I hope you realize what an impact you've had on the people in our city, presenting Audrey with the gold medallion is her son, Jack Moran, and her grandson, Clark. Congratulations, Audrey, for this deserving recognition, and thank you so much for all you've given to Jacksonville. Okay. It's my pleasure to welcome Kyle Reese to the stage. Kyle has served as the executive director of OneJax for the past 2 years, after serving as deputy executive for 2 years. He also served on the OneJax board of directors for 8 years prior to that, so you could say he knows a thing or two about the organization and what he's doing. As the senior pastor at Hendricks Avenue Baptist Church for 14 years, and 2 people tonight told me that you pastored them in their time there, Kyle. You could also say he knows a few things about bringing people together, helping them through trials and tribulations, and all the things that life holds for all of us. I call that the right person in the right place at the right time. Please welcome Kyle Reese.
Thank you, Debbie. Good evening. Let me echo what others have, how they have expressed their joy at being back together in person. You truly are a sight for sore eyes. As we were planning this event, the theme became obvious for this year's celebration: onward. Onward to us means moving past, through, over, or around obstacles and challenges, concentrating on the future, and unlatching from the ways of the past in order to accomplish today's objectives. Yet, ironically, the first thing I want to talk with you about tonight celebrates people who have helped guide OneJax through past years that have led to this very moment. In 2020, when we had no choice but to move this event to a virtual format, we had planned on giving a big send-off to Nancy Bronner, OneJax Executive Director Emerita, who retired in June of that year. Nancy was first called upon in 2013 to step in as interim ED and became a true change agent for the agency during her very effective 7-year tenure. She brought more organization and coordination to us administratively and developed valuable relationships with donors, funders, partners, and friends. She was a remarkable steward of the support we received and quickly became one of the most effective executive directors in town. And I can say to you in all honesty that she was great to work for, and she taught me more than I could have imagined. Figuring out a way to honor someone like Nancy was a very challenging task, but we are very proud of what we came up with. Tonight, I am happy to announce the creation of the Nancy Bronner OneJax Internship, a paid internship for a UNF student interested in social justice and/or nonprofit issues. To underwrite the internship, we created the Nancy Bronner Internship Fund, and I am delighted to tell you that that fund has reached $50,000 in contributions thus far guaranteeing that we can continue the program each semester for at least the next 5 years. Education has played a central role throughout Nancy's career. Combined with her passion for social justice, we don't think that there could be a better way to honor her. If you have any interest in making a donation to the fund, brochures telling you all you need to know will be available as you exit this evening. Nancy, please stand, and would you join with me offering a round of applause to show her how much we appreciate all she's done on behalf of OneJax. I'd also like to publicly acknowledge Kathy Graham, our former office administrator, who also retired in 2020. Kathy was always the cheerful voice at the end of the phone who was happy to help you any way she could. While we did not acknowledge Kathy's remarkable, stay with me here, 30-year tenure with OneJax, we did acknowledge that in the 2020 virtual program. She's here with us this evening to receive your gratitude and appreciation in person. Kathy, please stand and accept all the love that you have coming. I'd also like you to join me in giving a big round of applause to the OneJax staff. Small but well-tuned, who magically somehow get everything done. This is truly one of the finest groups of people I have ever worked with. Their names are listed in your program, but I'd like to ask any staff members in the room now to stand and be recognized. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for trying so hard to make me look good. The current political and cultural climate demands an aggressive approach to our work as we continue to try to bring more people together, no matter what their political affiliation, color, faith, sexual identity, or orientation. Thanks to funding from many of you and a significant grant from Florida Blue, we have successfully expanded our youth programs to a larger group of schools and youth organizations, and we've added curriculum to include middle school students in our programming. Our diversity education, Sandy Miller Metrotown Institute, and Metrotown in a Day, or MyAD, programs are more important than they've ever been. We are tweaking our presentations as necessary to comply with recently passed legislation, and we're working closely with teachers, principals, and other administrators to meet the specific needs and requirements of each individual school and class. We were recently added to the Duval County Public School District's officially sanctioned speakers list. This will make it easier for us to gain access to educators and administrators, and we expect our youth programming to continue to grow and expand. We're prepared to present these programs in person, virtually, or in a hybrid of both. We also anticipate more growth in the OneJax diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging programs. These facilitated sessions were born out of a demand for help and guidance by businesses, nonprofits, schools, civic organizations, and others. As organizations have started to honestly assess their cultures and practices, we're by their side to help them create or reinforce diverse, equitable, and inclusive workforces and environments. We have been working to strategically expand our sources of income through a fee-for-service program for the last several years, and the DEIB programs are bringing this objective to fruition. You should know that most of the work we do with smaller nonprofits is provided on a pro bono basis, with our costs often offset by contributions from people like you. We will never turn away a nonprofit or civic organization who asks for our assistance in this area due to an inability to pay. When we look into the future, We see new partnerships and coalitions with other groups doing complementary work. We see ourselves and our programming staying fluid and responsive so that together, we can eventually realize our vision of Jacksonville as an inclusive community where everyone is valued and welcomed. It's now time to take a look at our first Silver Medallion honoree, Mark Mayo. Mark is one of the architects that helped create OneJax when it broke away from the national organization of NCCJ back in 2006. He just retired from an illustrious legal career, working for some of Jacksonville's most highly regarded firms and companies, including FIS, where he spent the last 10 years. Please watch the screen and learn a little more about Mark Mayo.
At the time I went on to the board at NCCJ and was actually just on the board for a short period of time, it came to a turning point when we learned that the national NCCJ group was potentially going bankrupt.
And rather than let the organization die here, Mark and some core group of other people banded together, negotiated a very favorable departure from the national organization, which had some of our money, and established the infrastructure that we relied on to move forward as OneJax.
The great thing about Mark is that if you think that something needs to be done, Mark's already thought about it and has already done it. Maybe it's the mustache, I don't know. OneJax would not be here without Mark Mayo. Mark was really the person behind the scenes.
It seems lucky or unlucky, as you'd call it. Every time I get involved with an organization, it's usually because I have an interest or care about the organization. Things tend to happen when I get on boards too. You know, the Jacksonville Bar, I got on the board. They defunded legal aid. Juvenile diabetes, we just lost our executive director and had to go find a new one and put that back together. And, you know, OneJax, we've already talked about that. So things tend to happen that get me more involved than I originally intended.
I think what makes Mark a humanitarian is that he has a vision of the common good, and he has an ability to find ways to help galvanize other people to reach that good or to work towards it. His attitude towards hard work and his attitude towards inclusiveness makes him a humanitarian.
I see people in all different walks of life that inspire me. People that do the right thing for the right reason always inspire.
I can always count on Mark to do the right thing. I can always count on Mark to do the best, not only for the community, but for others. And Mark is able to motivate other people, and he doesn't do it by jumping on tables, but Mark does it by very gentle, deliberate guidance.
There's a place for open dialogue and communication that organizations like OneJax can continue to provide and expand, so that the more understanding you have for other people, the more respect you have for other people and what they believe or are or do. I think that's very important to our community.
Back in 1980, we had both graduated from law school, and I was working here in Florida, and he was in the New Jersey area at the time. So there was a huge retrospective of Pablo Picasso's work at the Museum of Modern Art. And so I said, well, Mark, get some tickets and I'll come up for the weekend and we'll check it out. So we're literally riding into the city on the train, and he hands me the tickets. And the date was like August 25th. And I'm looking at the tickets and said, Mark, these tickets say September 25th. The exhibition had been sold out for months. So we arrived at the museum, and the line, just for the time that we were supposed to enter, albeit a month later, went at least 2 blocks. Well, Mark found somebody with a blazer, had an authoritative look about them, explained the problem, explained, I'm gonna be in real trouble because my friend flew all the way up here from Florida to see this and I messed up the tickets. Can you help us? Next thing I know, not only are we not in the line, but we are being ushered in right into the museum. So I knew then, if I didn't know already, that he was going to be a great negotiator. If he could negotiate our way into the museum on that day, on those circumstances, he could negotiate a merger or an acquisition. That would be easy.
Well, I go back to my college life. I was a freshman at Georgetown University, had a small scholarship, was a little homesick, was borrowing a lot of money in student loans, and I thought maybe I'll just transfer to the University of Florida. William Peter Blatty filmed The Exorcist at Georgetown my freshman year, for which I got $12 and a roast beef sandwich to cut class and be an extra in the student demonstration scene. My only film, an Academy Award. Thank you. And fortunately, I had done well my freshman year at Georgetown, and they didn't want me to leave. And William Peter Blatty made a lot of money off The Exorcist, so he donated a scholarship to the school, and they gave me the William Peter Blatty Scholarship Award to finish my college at Georgetown, and it was great. I wouldn't have changed the vector of my life. I wouldn't have met my wife later, or who knows where I'd be today, but somehow I don't spit pea green soup, or my head doesn't turn around, but The Exorcist helped fund my college education. I'd like to thank, first of all, the one person I would never be here without, and that's my wife, Ann, who for 43 years, well, known her for 45, married to her for 43. She has been the greatest partner and the greatest supporter I could ever have. And when I go off into one of these things to help someone, she's always understanding and supportive. When I have to work somewhere else in the world because it's needed, she's always been very supportive. She's a great mom. She's been the best partner I could have ever hoped for. So I do want to thank her. I'd like to thank the people who've helped guide me over the years, the Dan Kaufmans, right up to Gary Norcross in my time at FIS, have been just great to me to help me expand, understand, respect what I stand for, and I respect what they stand for, and it's just been a great journey. I want to thank my kids for their support, my grandkids for their support, my friends and colleagues, without which I wouldn't be here. So, thank you.
Okay, presenting Mark with the silver medallion is his wife, Ann. Congratulations, Mark, you've earned this honor. And don't we love the twinkle in your eye? Our next honoree would have loved this event. He'd be in his element, schmoozing with everyone and charming the people he had been introduced to for the first time tonight. The unexpected and sudden death of Dr. Leon Haley Jr. shook all of us, the entire Jacksonville community, to its core. It didn't seem possible that anything could stop the charismatic and dynamic leader of UF Health in Jacksonville. He was laser focused on providing access to health care to the uninsured and underserved, and he was dedicated to doing everything in his power to get every single person vaccinated against the coronavirus, including being the first to get the vaccine himself on television and personally immunizing several patients every day. Leon was one of a kind. He was all of our friend. And he accomplished more in his abbreviated life than most of us do with an extra 30 or 40 years. Please watch the screen and be reminded of how lucky we are to have Leon Haley Jr. among us.
You could choose to hate. You could choose anger. You could choose to be frustrated. Or you could choose love. You could choose faith. You could choose the opportunity to understand, collaborate, work with people, whatever the difference is, whether it's a Republican, Democrat, black, white, rich, poor, but you have to understand people's differences, and you have to choose love and faith to get there, right? Because if you choose anger, you'll never cross the divide that you're trying to get through.
As a son, Leon always talked about his parents and his grandparents as his role models. And I think that says a lot about a kid, that you look at your parents as role models. I saw on Leon's phone that he had sent pictures to his kids of my mom and my dad having dinner one night. You could call it a date night before their 57th wedding anniversary. And he was just so proud.
He was propelled by the love and the admiration of his family, and he created a legacy of love, service, sacrifice, and humanism. Leon cared about people.
He was a hero who dedicated his life to others, and especially his family. Since we were children, lessons of service started very young. Started caroling in hospital halls, donating our Christmas gifts for annual events, which, as a kid, you know, that was a kind of tough morning, but...
He had such a humility about him, about all his professional accomplishments. But when it came to those kids, he wasn't humble. He shared every step.
Leon loved Jacksonville, and he loved his job at UF. He talked about it often with us, with excitement, with pride, with passion, that anyone who wakes up and goes to work every day would be envious of that kind of passion.
Leon was no ordinary man. When we came on board, JEA was a rudderless ship. The rank and file had lost trust in management, and quick and decisive action was necessary. Leon led that charge and helped to restore that trust.
Sincerely and genuinely investing and rallying the people around him toward a bold, transformational vision. He made you believe in things, and he made you believe in yourself.
He was the one who got us out to doing boot camps every week, and then he also thanked us for our friendship, for getting to know each one of us, and for keeping him sane during the pandemic. And we miss him dearly for that.
He could also explain very complex things in very simple terms. With the Civic Council for every meeting, we would ask him to give us the updates on COVID, to explain the data and explain what was going on with the vaccine and where we needed to go.
His thoughtful support, his collaborative engagement, and his committed leadership will be greatly missed. The health and connectedness of our community will be positively impacted for decades to come as a direct result of Dr. Haley's leadership.
He lived a loved life. He's a bridge builder.
As an organization and as a community, you made us better believe in a better path, one that is kinder and more inclusive. You redefine what it is meant to be a Gator.
He helped start several programs that allow our individuals to go over and train at UF in trauma, thus saving hundreds of lives of servicemen and women that go out and fight for our freedom.
One of the advantages of being an emergency physician is I can tell you we are all the same on the inside. So we all bleed red, same lungs, same hearts, we all look alike. There's no difference, there's no black, there's no white, there's no rich, there's no poor, there's no Hispanic. We are all the same.
I've known Leon since middle school. But one time we went to an amusement park, running around, just enjoying each other. Ran past this picture shop. Decided to run in. There's three of us. I picked, I don't know, some crazy uniform. Came out, got my picture taken. Was proud. My buddy, I think it was Rod. He picked something else. Took his picture and it was great. Leon, 10th grade, came out of the dressing room in a medical coat and a stethoscope. Being that age, we rushed up to him and we were like, come on, man. And Leon pushed us back. He's like, this is what I want my picture of. We understood.
You know, we are all human beings. We are all Americans in this country. We live in a great country. We have the opportunity to continue to push it forward, right? We have to be empathetic. We have to recognize the differences that we have, but then the opportunities that we have together to push us into a new direction or a continued direction of greatness and equality and get rid of all of the barriers that are there.
Okay. That really pulled it together. What a wonderful representation of who Dr. Haley was and what he meant to all of us in Jacksonville who loved and worked with him. It's a privilege for me to introduce Leon's parents, Dr. Leon Haley Sr. and Mrs. Ann Haley, who will receive the OneJax President's Citation on Leon's behalf. Okay, now for the fun. I have the pleasure to introduce the chair of this year's event committee, my friend John Payton, former mayor of Jacksonville, serving 2 terms from 2003 to 2011. Following his departure from City Hall, John returned to the family business as president of Gate Petroleum, a position he still holds today. Still very active in the community, he led the chamber as the chair in 2018, and he devotes his time to several organizations, including OneJax. And just to show you what kind of guy John Payton is, as ideas of how to freshen this event were being discussed early on, moving the venue became part of the conversation. And John Payton, Gate Petroleum John Payton, suggested we look into Daly's place. Did you catch that? The gate guy told us to move to Daly's. When he wants the best for you, John Payton really looks out for you, even if it means sending the business to the competitor. Please give a warm welcome to our friend John Payton.
Thank you, Debbie. I had the opportunity to work with Debbie at the Chamber, and we had a lot of fun. And I think Daly's appreciates that warm, heartfelt introduction too, Debbie. Thank you for that. It's great. I want to congratulate our honorees, most of whom are very dear friends. You made this night successful. Raising money for this event because of you was a dream, and congratulations to all of you. We appreciate you being here and being recognized. We had a great event committee, and some of them are here tonight, and I'd like to ask them to stand and be recognized. We've been working for the past year, pulling this together, and tonight we actually broke a fundraising record for OneJax. And congratulations, if you'd be stand and recognized. And there we go. Thank you all so much. Good. So we've been successful really for three reasons. One, we've had an amazing slate of honorees. But secondly, we had a really strong committee. But third, and probably most importantly, we had a mission to rally behind. I don't think the mission of OneJax has ever been more relevant in the day we find ourselves in today. The divisiveness that I think we all feel in our workplace, in our families, our extended families, our politics. Do you wear a mask? Do you not wear a mask? Are you woke or are you not woke? Do you get a vaccine or do you not get a vaccine? It's incredible. And we didn't have this kind of tension when I was in office, by the way. And we didn't have the traffic congestion either. But we find ourselves in a place where I think most of us agree we can do better. And there's only one organization that I know of that wakes up every day that we can prop up, that is uniquely Jacksonville, that really tries to bring us together in a very meaningful way. First and foremost in our political discourse, certainly in our ability to exercise compassion and understanding, and of course, all the ways that we bring people together in our interfaith relationships. So that is what inspired me to volunteer to lead this event tonight. It was the work of OneJax. And as a volunteer of this organization for many, many years with community suppers and other events, I will tell you the work is profound. And the beauty of this work is that it is scalable. And so tonight's proceeds, our most important fundraiser for our organization all year, will go toward not only providing the testimonials you're hearing about tonight, but the work that can be done in addition to what we're already doing. So I would challenge all of you as you sit there and hear these amazing testimonies of the work that our honorees have done and the work of the OneJax. Ask yourself if you're doing enough. Ask yourself if your company is doing enough or the company that you're leading is doing enough. Because the beauty of this work is that it can be done more with more resources. And we can reach out and make a better community, a more cohesive community, by just enabling this organization to thrive. And so on the back of your name tag, is a QR code which will link your phone to our website and to our pledge forms and also other information about OneJax. I would encourage you to challenge yourself to consider doing more as we try to propel this organization to do its work. Jacksonville has the beauty of being a size where you can really make a difference, and we can be that model city that demonstrates to others that we can pull together and we can be different. We can choose a different path in a world that is desperately needing a new choice. So for that, thank all of you for being here. Congratulations again to our honorees, and consider doing more. Now I have the privilege of introducing another silver medallion honoree, one that I happen to have had the privilege of serving with at City Hall. Warren Jones, I consider a dear friend, is probably one of the most respected public servants that I've ever worked with. He was never afraid to be burdened with the facts, never afraid to make the hard decisions and do the right thing, even if it wasn't politically expedient. Warren, working with you was a dream. I've enjoyed knowing you and calling you my friend. And I encourage all of you to look at the screen now and learn more about my friend, our friend, the Honorable Warren Jones.
I think of the life that he has lived and the service that he has given to this community. I'm really not surprised, because the things that he saw growing up and the ideas that he had in regards to being able to make a difference, I think it was a natural move toward public service, because he truly cares about people.
In junior high school, I read Profiles in Courage by John F. Kennedy. I stayed up to like 4 o'clock in the morning. I read the book because I couldn't put it down. And that kind of lit the spark. When I decided to go to college, I just felt like I needed to do something that I enjoyed, history and government and politics.
I can describe Warren Jones in some single words: integrity, faith and spirit, compassion, belief in people, just a kind person who is not afraid to fight for what's right.
I do what I do because I just have a love for Jacksonville. The city has been very gracious to me and my family. My parents moved here and they established a good life, and I had a very good village, close family, close friends, church members. It was just a very strong, loving, caring, supportive, nurturing village that I lived in. And I just wanted to somehow make that a better place for the next generation. And I thought being on the city council was an avenue to get some of that done.
Warren and I met in 3rd grade. He moved into our neighborhood and became a part of Forest Park Elementary School. And the first day that Warren and I met, it was because some other friends had told me and others that there was a new kid on the block, and we met at his home to walk him to school. From that day to now, we've been walking the roads of life together.
I think school boards across the country are under attack for no good reason, but to take control. I think people now have learned that in many counties throughout this country, school boards have a larger budget, they have more employees than the city government. So if you can control that, then you can control those dollars and who gets those dollars. There are attacks with having the elections become partisan here in Florida, when we know that education of students should always be nonpartisan. Not paying the school board members like the city council, county commissions are paid, just to try to replace those people who are there now so they can have people who they can control on the school boards. And I think that's very, very concerning to me.
Warren is a very ardent student of life. He has put in the time, burned the midnight oil to really get to understand the problems in our communities and then have a passionate desire to be a part of the solution to the problem.
When you have a conversation with Warren Jones, he looks at you in the eye and he listens to what you say. Now, he's never takes out that little notebook like Bob Graham used to do and take notes. Warren remembers this stuff and he listens and he can actually follow up with you on something. And you know, if Warren gives you his word, he's going to follow through with what that commitment is. But he listens to people. And what more do we want?
I'm very optimistic. We have an outstanding superintendent. We have an outstanding board. We've had several boards who have laid the foundation for making Duval County a high-performing school district. We were 4 points from being an A school district a couple of years ago before the pandemic. We're on track to get back to that, and we want to become a high-performing school district. And we have policies and goals in place to get us there, and we are always tweaking and modifying those policies and reviewing our strategies and goals so that we can accomplish that. Had it not been for the pandemic, I think we would be there now.
I believe there's going to be consistency and there's going to be consensus brought back to our lives and to our community if we continue to have statesmen like Warren Jones. I truly believe that, and I hope for that.
Thanks, OneJax, for this recognition. Very surprised, wasn't expecting it. You do the work because it's something you love and you want to see happen, things change. But I want to, first of all, thank OneJax, thank my family, my wife, who's been very supportive throughout the years, the ups and downs, the wins, the losses, the debates, the attacks. She's been very supportive of me and couldn't have picked a better life partner. My sons and my grandkids, I thank them for the love that they shared and the community. My friends that I grew up with, that lifelong friends that I've grown up with that helped shape and mold me over the years. My teachers who instilled in us a love of learning and that we could do whatever we wanted to do no matter what obstacles were in our place, and that you treat everybody the same. And my loving parents who gave me the foundation to do some of the things that I wanted to do. And my family, just a lot of folks poured into me to make me who I am today, and I'm very appreciative of that.
What a powerful leader. You have really devoted yourself to the entire Jacksonville community for most of your life, Warren. I'm so glad we got to see that. Okay, the final Silver Medallion humanitarian to be honored tonight is David Miller. David is the co-founder of Brightway Insurance, which he started with his brother Michael in 2008. Noted for their hard work and innovative business model, the company now boasts more than 1,500 employees and has hundreds of offices in 26 states. David has become an active and influential member of the community and brings that twinkle in his eye to so many community projects, including the Emerald Trail and Lift Jax, a neighborhood initiative intended to restore the East Side. He's co-founder of Our Jax, a citizens watchdog group that's held city leaders accountable for how our government does business and what it does with our taxpayer dollars. Please watch the screen to find out a little more about David Miller.
David and I met early in my career at JCA when he was a committee member and a board member. He was so full of energy and positive vibes. It was contagious. He was hard not to enjoy being around, and a great thinker and doer.
Being grateful is just such a wonderful way to live life. On a daily basis, on an hourly basis, focusing on the things that you have been blessed with. I think about those things and the friends I have, the family I have, and the community we all share. It's a gift, but it's an opportunity and a responsibility. We all have a great opportunity to make this place better.
And he loves this community. I mean, he wants the best for Jacksonville. He wants the best for every corner of Jacksonville, ensuring that every neighborhood has a chance to win and the people who live within those neighborhoods to be able to win.
It's really important that each of us as individuals and then as a community really stand up for what we know is right. People know the difference between right and wrong. The thing is, a lot of times they don't feel empowered. One of the things I can do is help people feel that their voice matters and that at the end of the day, we're going to be a community of integrity that stands up for what's right. That's how we're going to reach our potential. A voice is tremendously important. It's one of our greatest gifts, and we need to use it. And being able to see things like the Emerald Trail come to fruition, being able to work with other community leaders and know that we're best when we work together. Working in silos is not the way we're going to reach our potential as a community. So from a philanthropic standpoint, being able to bring people together for important causes, it's been a tremendous journey. And I think the best is still yet to come there too.
Everything he does is about the betterment of people around him, whether it be his family, whether it be his friends, whether it be the community organizations that he's close to. He just wants to make the world a better place. He understands the value of Tikkun Olam, of repairing the world in a way that makes it better for everyone. And that is core to his character, core to his value system.
Lift Jax. That organization is an opportunity to truly look at a small neighborhood and help that community lift itself out of poverty, to work with the leaders within that community as well as the community as a whole. I love his contributions. He is so thoughtful in asking those very delicate and appropriate questions that cause us to rethink the whole approach to a particular problem. And as a result, I think we've been able to make enormous strides toward helping the East Side community. He's very wise, extremely wise.
If we're going to become the city of tomorrow, and Jacksonville is going to go from being an adolescent city to a fully actualized adult city that reaches its potential, it's one where there has to be a level playing field, where everyone knows they're going to get a fair shake, and they can believe in our government and believe in the processes. We need to invest in our people, and people have to feel that they're a part of a community that is helping them, and their being here does make a difference.
What makes David Miller unique is he's a great listener, he's a great doer, and he's a great leader. And what makes him uniquely special is his ability to build consensus, his ability to bring people together, his ability to find common ground, his ability to forge out a unified vision.
I am more grateful for being in this place than I can even imagine. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for, first and foremost, my family, my wonderful wife, Monique, my kids, Josh and Leah, my brothers, Michael, Danny, Glenn, and my sister Leor, and now my nephews and nieces. I'm so grateful for them. I'm so grateful for our Brightway family, the people who have entrusted their lives with our lives and their futures, and have understood and embraced a vision of what's possible. All of those people, the leaders around the community who have chosen to speak up on important issues when they didn't have to, I want to thank all of them. I want to thank the people who are being recognized with me. I'm so honored to be in a class of people who are just heroes to me. And so I'm tremendously grateful. And so many leaders who have shaped me and our community before us. Both Myron and Darnell, who were gracious enough to speak on my behalf. You are truly brothers, and I'm more grateful for both of you than you could ever know.
David Miller, you're an optimistic and positive fellow, always with a twinkle in your eye, and I think we could all learn a thing or two from you. David will receive the silver medallion from his brother Michael.